So polymorphism is one of the most important feature which is given with object-oriented programming languages, right? So polymorphism mean, it is actually a Greek word, right? It means many forms. Polymorphism means what? Many forms. So we try to understand what is the meaning of many forms here. Poly means many, morphisms means forms. So a object which is having multiple forms is called as a polymorphic. An object which is having multiple forms is called as a polymorphic, right? Right. There is two different types of polymorphisms are possible, right? As a programmer, we can do two different types of polymorphisms, right? So one is called as compile time polymorphism, right? One is called as compile time polymorphism, and the other one is called as runtime polymorphism. Right? The second one is called as runtime polymorphism. There is a difference is there between both, but any form, it may be a compile time or it may be a runtime, having multiple forms is called as what? Polymorphism. Runtime polymorphism, right? Most important principle of object orientation, and most of the topics depends on this polymorphism. Whatever the topics you learn later, most all topics depends on this same principle, polymorphism, right? Or they can be said as compile time polymorphism, or we can say it as what? Static binding, or we can say it as early binding, or right? So compile time polymorphism, static binding, early binding, all are same words. Runtime polymorphism, or we can say it as what? Dynamic binding, or we say as late binding, all are same meaning, right? So polymorphism means having multiple forms is called as polymorphism. There are two different ways we can achieve this polymorphism. One is compile time, the other one is runtime. So we try to understand what is compile time and what is runtime. Before moving on to this polymorphism, already we have come across such kind of one concept, right? We try to understand that concept. We take one example of this, right? Then we move on to this one, right? So every object-oriented programming language should support this one feature, right? So let us try to describe. Already we have discussed the one concept which is related to this, right? Previously. Now what is that is one operator we have seen. One operator we have seen, that is what is this? That is the operator called as what? Plus operator, which already we have seen, right? So before moving on to this, we try to understand what is this concept, how I can apply this concept to this simple operator. Now already we have, as we discussed, a plus operator which has two different behaviors, right? What are the two different behaviors you have for this particular operator? The two different behaviors for this operator are, one is it works like a arithmetic addition operator, right? So it performs a arithmetic addition operation, right? Addition. And the second behavior of this is it performs string concatenation. These are the two different behaviors we have, and we have seen these things. We have written lots of programs, system.out.println, string concatenation, right? So string concatenation. So what is this, right? So this is the example of polymorphic. What I can say here. So this is the operator which has two different behaviors, which has two different forms, two different actions it is going to perform for me. What are the two different operations it is going to perform for me? One operation is addition operation, the other one is concatenation operation. So this is the best example, right? So how it is going to perform these two different operations? In what scenarios it is going to perform these two different operations? Right? So as we described previously, when the two operands, so there are two operands are required if you want to use this operator. If both operands are of type numerics, then it is going to add them. It is going to perform the arithmetic operation, addition operation. And any one of these two operands is a string data, then it is going to perform a concatenation operation. Right? So when two operands, it takes two operands, when both are of type, when both are of numerics, then it is going to perform addition. When one is a string, it is going to perform concatenation. That is what we discussed, right? So I can say what? It changes its behavior. It changes its operations based on the input given to this operator. If the input is two integers, it is going to add them. If the input is having one string data, then it is going to concatenate them, right? So such kind of performing multiple operations, the same thing performing multiple operations is called as what? Polymorphic. And its behavior changes according to the given scenario. In the example, if we take the plus operator, its behavior changes based on the given input, right? So this is called as polymorphic. The same thing a object can also do for you. So if a object is having multiple different forms, that object is called as polymorphic object, right? So here, now here, if you take this plus operator, so it depends on the input, whatever you give, it changes its behavior, right? So whenever you talk about object-oriented programming languages, technically speaking, this polymorphism can be achieved into, you can perform this polymorphism on two different types here, right? So one is, you can perform operator, you can perform this polymorphism on operators. Okay, it's not correct. Okay, it's correct, but let us take here. Right? Okay, you can take here. It's no problem. So you can do programmatically. You can do as a programmer in some other programming languages as C++ kind of programming language. You can perform this polymorphism on operators as well as you can perform this polymorphism on what? Methods. Right? So, but coming to Java, so in the C++ kind of programming, so whatever the operators we use to perform some kind of operations, so apart from the basic functionality, whatever it is given, apart from that, you can provide some extra functionality to the operators. That is called as what? Polymorphic. Now this is what? This is the actual mechanism which is given for a plus operator. What is that? Arithmetic addition operation. To this existing behavior, there is some extra behavior is added. To this existing behavior, there is some extra behavior is added programmatically. This kind of adding the extra behaviors is called as what? Extra functionalities is called as overload, what? Polymorphic. To the existing behavior, adding some extra behaviors is called as polymorphic. So the actual or natural behavior of a plus operator is arithmetic addition operation. But coming to the programming, the developers of this language has provided one extra functionality to this. This is what? Concatenation operation. Coming to the C++ kind of language, as a programmer, you can do this thing. So you can take to this, if I take the example, let's suppose if I take minus kind of operator. So to that you can provide some extra functionalities. That is called as operator. Right? Operator overloading, giving the extra functionalities to the existing operators. Excuse me. Right. So here, so in C++ kind of language, there are, as a programmer, you can do both. You can overload the operators. You can write the extra functionalities to the operators, as well as you can do the same thing with methods. But coming to Java, Java implementers has not given any kind of overloading with operators. Not, you cannot write some extra functionalities to the existing functionalities of what operators. So one operator which is given for you and which is implicitly overloaded. What is that? A plus operator, right? So as a programmer, you can do what? You can write multiple functionalities for what? Methods. Right? So to the existing functionality, methods are nothing but what? Methods are used to perform some kind of operations. Right? So to the existing functionality of a method, you can provide some extra functionalities. Right? So that is what this polymorphism means. So whenever we talk about polymorphism in the Java terms, we always think about the methods, no operators. Right? So there are two different types of things you can do with these methods, two different type of implementations you can have for these methods. One is by using one we call as compile time polymorphism, and the other one we call as a runtime polymorphism. Both are applicable on the methods only. Right? So we achieve this compile time polymorphism. We achieve this compile time polymorphism in Java by using a concept called as method overloading. Method overloading is the example of what? Compile time polymorphism. And the second one is method overriding. This is what the second one we have here. This is called as method overriding. Right? So there are two ways you can provide the extra functionalities to the existing functionality of a method. You can give some extra functionalities, right? And these are the two different ways you can write the extra functionalities to the existing methods. One is called as method overloading and one is called as method overriding. They are slightly different in syntactically and implementation point of view. So we try to understand what are these two. Right? First today we discuss the concept called as method overloading. Right? So we try to understand what is the meaning of compile time polymorphism or method overloading. If you want to discuss this runtime polymorphism, right? So this one, if you want to discuss about this, we require some other concept to be understand. That is inheritance. Without inheritance, you cannot achieve this. If you want to learn this, definitely you require inheritance, right? So when we complete that inheritance, then we see what is this runtime polymorphism, right? So here today we talk about compile time polymorphism and what is the meaning of this, right? So we technically call as method overloading. We technically call this as what? Method overloading. What is a method overloading mean? How it is going to, what actually it is going to, how I am going to implement this method overloading and all. As I told you, if you take the same example of place operator, the same thing, the same operator, but it is having two different implementations coming to Java. The same thing I am going to do here, right? The same method having multiple different implementations. I am going to take the same method with multiple different implementations, right? So that is what I am going to do here, and these different implementations will be executed, will be performed in given different scenarios. If you take the place operator, right? So this is the one which is, as we discussed, which operates differently according to the given input. Two integers addition to one string value concatenation. In the same way, I am going to write the same kind of example I am going to take for methods. The same method is going to behave differently according to the given inputs, right? So without your knowledge, right? Without your knowledge, you are already working with this kind of concept. We will try to understand what is that concept, where you are actually coming across this. Already everybody, right, who writes a basic Java program also, he is already internally is working with this concept. Without having any knowledge, everybody using this concept. Let's try to come to this point, right? So before moving on to technically understanding this, right? Before moving technically understanding what is this compile time polymorphism is, right? So let us generally discuss uh, in general terms. We try to understand first this one in very much like general terms, right? Now, now let me take, right, as a human being here, right? So let me take one simple behavior of mine, or everybody's, right? Now, I would like to take a behavior called as listening. Getting me? Very simple behavior I have here. I would like to take a behavior called as listening. Yes, everybody has this behavior, listening. Now, my question is very simple. Is this listening behavior which every human being is having will be same in all different in all scenarios? Do you get my question? So everybody has a behavior called as listening, right? As a object, human being object. I have a behavior called as me or you or everybody has a behavior called as listening, right? Is this behavior is same in all situations? That is my basic question. No. Yes, everybody says no. Can you give some examples why you are saying no? In what scenarios this behavior is same? In what scenarios this behavior is different? Can you give me some examples? Okay. Okay. Still. No. I'm not comparing different persons listening. See here, try to understand. I'm not comparing different persons listening. I'm comparing myself. Only one. You just imagine yourself and you have a behavior called as listening. My question is that listening behavior, whatever you have, is same in all scenarios? Different situations? What is the meaning of different situations? Examples. Right? So let me put in my words, right? So here, as you're saying, everybody says yes, 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 exactly. Whatever I'm expecting, somebody has given the same answer, right? So, so you are saying everybody says no. Listening behavior of mine is not always same, but only the same action. The action is same. What is that? Listening. But you will be listening means what? You will be doing some kind of processing in your mind and all. You are taking some data from outside and you are doing processing. This processing of instructions will be different from different scenarios. That is the meaning, internal meaning of it. That is the meaning of no. Right? When you are listening something, so the instructions how you process inside your mind will be different. Depends on different environments. As somebody says, as somebody saying like, when I listen to a music, the way I process the instructions will be different. When I listen to a conversation to my friend, the way I listen to the way I process the instructions will be different. When I listen to a class, the way I process the instructions are different. Right? When I listen in a movie theater, the way the instructions I am going to process is different. But all are what? Listening only. But the behavior, the processing of this listening changes according to what? The scenario, situation. The situations are like this: a music, a classroom, a friend, a theater, and your processing will be different, right? Yes or no? When you talk to your parents, when you listen something, when they are saying, when your parents are saying something to you, your listening will be right. No processing. I don't do any processing. I don't listen you, right? Right? When you are listening to a music or when you are listening to some kind of movie and all, our like listening behavior will be like our processing will be too high, right? 2000 instructions per second. Listening is the same action, right? Depends on the input. Input means what here? The same action. I'm not having different listenings here. The same listening, but the action which is changes depends on the input what I have. Now, if I have a classroom kind of input, my listening will be something different. When I have a home, when I have given a theater kind of environment, my listening will be different. When I given a music kind of environment, my listening will be different, right? When I have given a friend kind of environment, my listening will be different. I'm having the same behavior, but this behavior I can perform the logic, the executing, performing some kind of instructions inside this listening is different, and they are different because of different environment which is given to me, right? The logic, technically speaking, the processing is nothing but the implementation of the listening is different. How you are implementing the listening behavior when you are in a theater is quietly different from when you are in a classroom, when you are listening to a music, but only the same behavior, right? So the same thing here. The object, we are talking about a single object as it taken as example. Now you have one behavior, and this behavior is having different implementations, right? And that implementation changes according to the given input, same like place operator, right? So if I put like this, so here if I put like this, right? So as a person object, you are a person object here, right? You are a person object here, right? Your behavior, whatever the behavior I'm talking about, listen, right? And this behavior will be different when input is given like a music. Yes, definitely you will be having a different processing. Talking about the implementation part now, right? Whenever a behavior given to you as a theater, yes, definitely how you process the instructions, processing the instructions, right? Nothing but a method, right? Listening to a news, yes, absolutely. Everywhere you have listen will be different, right? News, as somebody says news, no, generally we don't much concentrate on this. We don't process the instructions that much when you listen to the news and all. Same thing, reading will be there. Like listen to a lecture, like whatever I am giving, no, I don't listen, I don't process anything. That is a very common right, lecture, a very common thing which every student does, right? I don't listen, I don't process any instruction, sorry, right? This is what you have. See here, now I'm talking about, if you see everywhere I have some common action. The action is same, but the implementation of this action changes. Implementation means what? These instructions of processing the instructions of this action changes according to the input which is given to you, right or wrong? Right? Whenever you read, yes, reading always will be same. Is it same always? When you read a newspaper, when you read a book, when you prepare for exams, when you read a novels, always you are doing the same kind of processing, concentrations and all, storing the data into your memories. It's not correct, right? It's not always same. But the same action I'm performing in different ways, and I'm performing this action in different ways based on the input which is given, same as place operator. If you compare this with place operator, it is very easy to understand. The operations are different. The same operator which is performing two different operations based on the given input, it is also same. It is not different thing, right? Now this is what I'm going to do here. Having multiple different functionalities, right? So whenever you are a kid, you will be listening to your parents. That is only one thing you always do. Then whenever you are growing, then you start listening to news, lectures, theaters. In the future, you are adding some new functionalities to the existing one, right? So the same concept is applicable here. Now let me design my classes based on that, right? Now let us take a basic example again before moving on to this. So let me take one simple, yeah. Before moving on to this, let me take, I'm designing a class. I'm designing a class where my class should try to understand this example, because I'm trying to write two different versions for the same example, right? So I'm trying to design a class where my class should search a particular student. That is my first basic operation, right? So I'm trying to design a class where my searching mechanism should be done based on, I would like to search a student. Now how many ways I can search a student, particular student? How many ways I can search a particular student? Right? I will give the example here. Search by name. So what this method takes as input? What this functionality takes as input? A name as input, right? So it searches. You will be having a logic where your logic searches a student by name, and it gives the student which student's name matches with this. Still, what I can do here? Yeah, still, what combinations I can go for? Roll number, absolutely. Search by number. Now I'm going to take here enter roll number, right guys? Yep. Now still search by name and number. You can go with lots of combinations, absolutely. This example only I'm giving. I can take a roll number as well as I can take what? Name. I can start searching based on both. This is one way I have written, right? Now the same functionalities I am writing in a different way. Now just give me which is the best version of writing. That is search student. Just tell me which is the best way of writing these things. Same logic I will have in both versions. Let's try to go through the both different ways of writing the same code. There is no difference apart from only the name is same. Name is different. What is it? Method name is different. Remaining every logic and every parameters whatever I'm passing is same here. Now here I'm going to take int roll number, comma, string name. Right? So these are my different versions. Both are same here. So this is one way of writing the searching the student, and this is the one way. The implementation will be same as well as the parameters are same as well, but the logic is also same. But only the names are different in this way of writing and in this way of writing. Somebody is saying he wants to go with this one. Now which way you prefer? The second one you prefer to go with? Okay. Second one you want to go with search student, so you want to keep a method name as search student. This is the one you prefer, search student. Any other answers? Second one only. Everybody says the second one. Now tell me what advantages you have by going with second one. What advantages you have by going by using second one? Just accept the name change. Remaining everything is same. What is this? We have identifier. What is the meaning of identifier here? Right? Right? The second one is the best one. As you said, the second one is correct one. Because, right? Now this looks easy. This one, whatever the first one is, you are saying it looks simple. But comparing in both, this is bit complex. Now what is the drawbacks you have here? See, my logic is same. What I'm going to do here is, I want to search a student. I can search by a name, different logic I will have. I can search by a roll number, different logic I will have. I can search by taking a roll number and name, different logic I will have. The logic will be different, right? In all these different cases, you will have different logics. It's fine. But what about this name here? What about this name? What is the difficulty you have here? Now let's suppose the difficulty in this case is, As a user who wants to use your code, he has to remember the name as well as what? The parameters. Both he has to remember. This is technically, right? So search student by name. What parameter it takes? Now let's suppose if I want to search a student by name, I need to remember the method name as well as I need to remember the parameter what it takes. Search student by number. I need to remember the method name as well as I need to remember the parameter. Search student by name and number. Actually this is not correct. This is search student by name and number. I have taken it as number only, right? Okay, that's fine. So search student by name, I need to remember the method name as well as what parameters it takes. But what is the advantage you have this one? If you move on to this one, what advantage you have in the second one? I don't bother about the name. I don't bother about the parameters. Just I will bother about the method name. So this one is simple. Why it is simple? Because of everywhere I have used the same name. So what happens here? A user of this class can understand. What? There is a method called as search student which searches me a student by name as well as roll number as well as what? Roll number and name. So I am free. I'm free to pass a name, I'm free to pass a number, or I'm free to pass a roll number or number. So from the user's point of view, if I think there is a single method which is given and which is performing all these operations for me. So it takes a name, it takes a number, it takes a what? Roll number or name. So in the future, if I want to add one more version to this, it is very easy for me to add the one more version. Search student, how you want to search? Whether you want to search by address, age, or different parameters, or marks, or percentages, you can add it. Very simply you can extend it, right? So what I'm going to do in the future, if I want to add some new functionality to this, I can very easily add it. Search student, right? Search a student by, let's suppose, percentage. Again it takes an integer, don't think it as so percentage. Let's suppose percentage means double, right? So search a student by double percentage. Now it is easy for me to extend. Right? So search a student by percentage here. Right? So what happens here? Here also I can extend this, but it is a bit difficult to extend this one. Right? So I can write my own logic here. I can write my own logic where it searches me a student by taking the percentages. Right? So implementations are different. But the thing is what? For the same functionality, searching the student have different implementations. And the very important thing is how these different implementations I got. Based on what I got these different implementations is a very important point to understand here. Right? On what basis I have different implementations. I am going to write one more version of searching a student because of I have a different implementation. But based on what this different implementation is given to that search student. What is that? Based on the input which is given, right? So if you see from the developer's point of view, there are two different views you have here. If you see the developer from the developer's point of view, obviously you need to write multiple different versions for each and every different implementation. You need to have different implementations. You can do the different implementation by taking the different names. You can do the different implementations by taking the same name for the same functionality I'm talking about, right? So when you do this different implementation for the same functionality, you need to write different methods, right? And these methods should be different in what? The parameters. Getting me? Now can anybody say what that method? Already I told you, right? Before starting of this, you are already working with such kind of concept. What is that which you are working with? Which is almost similar to this behavior, right? Before moving on to this, let me ask you a basic question here. No. Before moving on to this, let me write some syntaxes here. Now let me give the answers for my syntaxes. Just give me the answers for my syntaxes. Method 1, integer, method 2 string, method 3 let's suppose double. Now all these methods are there in the same class. Method 4 int comma string, right? Now my question is, all these methods are there in the same class. Now how to call this first method? How to call this first method? Yep. How to call this? Imagine there is a class and inside this class I have written all these methods. Now how to call this first method? By name, only by name. Object name dot method 1 of by passing some integer data. Second method, object name dot method 2 by passing string data. Object name dot method 3 by passing double data. Object data method 4 by passing a int comma string data. Right? So everybody says the same, right? So object name dot method 1 integer, object name dot method 2 string, object name dot method 3 double, object name dot method 4 int comma string. Right? Is there any other way can I invoke this? Now can I invoke this third method by passing a string data? Very fundamental question. Is it possible for me to invoke the third method by passing a string data? No? Everybody says no? The third method. I am specifically talking about the third method. Is it possible for me to invoke method 2 by passing integer? Method 2. Object dot method 2 by passing integer? No. No, right? Obviously no. So we have rules. Whenever you want to invoke a method, you need to use the object reference dot method name dot exactly the same data you need to pass. So if I want to invoke this method 4, I need to pass first value as integer, the second value as what? String. Everybody accepts that. I can invoke this method by passing only integer and string. You cannot reverse also. First string, then second integer also you cannot pass. It's not possible. Right? Okay, fine. Right. So my question here is very basic. Right? Now you have been using one method since the starting of your classes. I am using one method since starting of these classes. What is that method? Which I am very regularly using in each and every class. What is this? Println. Getting me? Println is a method. What is it? Println. System.out.println. Println is a method. Now how I am able to invoke this method? It is invoking. If I pass 10, it is working for me. If I pass string, it is printing the data for me. A string, it is printing the data for me. If I pass a double value, it is printing the data for me. 10.00. If I pass anything I am passing to this. If I pass a boolean, right? If I pass a boolean, it is working for me. It is giving the boolean values to me. How this is working then? You are saying that if a method takes an integer, you should always invoke that method by passing integer only. If a method takes a string, you should always invoke that method by passing string only. But how this println is working? What is the data type which takes all data? Getting me? Println I think you are using. You are aware of this, right? If it is library, see the basic concept is same. If you write the program, if somebody is writing the programs, rules are rules for everybody. Some programmer, the rules are different for you, the rules are different. No. Syntaxes will be same for everybody. It is from basic library, I accept it. It is written by some other programmer, I am using it. Nothing difference here. This println method is implemented by some other programmer, I am using it. That's it. But the rules are rules. He can write a println method which takes all and which prints it. No, he cannot write it. He is also a programmer. Now how it is behaving then? How this println method is doing for you? So it is accepting every data. Previously you said, now if I have a method which takes integer, I should always invoke that method by passing integer only. How a println method is working for you then? How it is taking all different types of data then? What is the mystery behind this method then? Do you get what I'm trying to ask you? Right? So that is where the key point. Same is the concept. The concept is same. The developer of println method, he is not written a single println method. There are n number of println methods. One println method takes, that is where the user. Now, if you think there's two different versions, two different views, I am the user. When I think from the user point of view, what I'm thinking? When I think from the user point of view, what I'm thinking? There is a method given for me which takes whatever the data I pass and it prints for me on the console, right? Which prints the data to the required destination, right? So there is a println method which is given in the Java which takes an integer and which prints it, which takes a string which prints it, which takes a double which prints it, which takes a boolean which prints it. But you are saying if a method takes an integer, it only always I should invoke that method by passing in integer only. But how this println is invoked, how this println is working, right? So see this. What I am going to show you. Just focus here. Not internal details are not required for what I am typing here. Now see this. The implementer of this class who has implemented println method, is there only one println method is given to you? Now this is the implementer. What the implementer has did for me? He has not written a single println method. What he has did? See there. What he has did for me? Can you see there on my screen? There is no single println method you have. The developer has taken multiple println methods. One takes boolean, one takes character, one takes integer, one take long, one take float, one take double, one take character array, one take string, one take object. Right? So this is the developer point of view. The second view is user's point of view. I am the user. What I am thinking? There is one method is given in the API, right? Right? There is one method is given in the API, and I can pass any data. I can pass any data to it, and it is printing it to me. That is what you have think. That is what your imagination about this method till date. Right? There is no one method. The developer has given multiple methods for us. The concept is same as I told you. If you have a method, which takes integer, always this method should be called by passing integer only. But how this println method is working? When you pass an integer, the method which takes integer will be called. See here, there is a println method which takes integer. When you call a method by passing double, the method which takes a double will be called. When you call this method by passing a string, the method which takes a string is called. When you pass a boolean, the method which takes a boolean. Now let us try to imagine like this. The implementer, instead of giving println the same name, the implementer has given like this: print string, take a string object and print it. No. Print string. Now I am taking the methods like this. Now the developer has given the methods like this for me. Print int, take integer, print double, take double. If the methods are given like this for me, so what should I do as a user point of view? Instead of taking the println, if let's suppose he has given the methods like this for me, what should I do here as a user? Point of view. Which one is easy? Right? The implementations are given for you in this way in the Java API, and I am asking, imagine if the implementations are given in this format, then if the developer, instead of giving this, He has given me print string, print int, print boolean, print long, because different methods, different logics. Which is easy for you to take? The first one or second one? First one is easy, right? So that is what here. That is what here is the overloading means. Compile time polymorphism means. To the existing method, adding new functionalities is called as what? So why this concept here? The concept, if you see the internal details of this concept, is take the data, the operation is same. What is the operation? Printing the data is the operation, writing the data is the operation. But this operation can be performed in different ways. What does this mean? If somebody passes an integer operation, the writing will be different. If somebody passes a string, the writing will be different. If somebody passes a double, the printing will be different. If somebody passes an object, the printing will be different. The printing can be done in multiple ways based on the input given. Right? So don't think there is only one println method is there. No, there are different println methods are doing the task for you. So when you see from user point of view, because I'm using this method, you always feel like what? There is one println method which is given and which is doing all the tasks for me. No, technically speaking, if you see the other side of this, you always there are a number of println methods. There are few println methods which are given for us and which are doing the task for you. Did you get me? Right? So what does it mean here? So let me write a basic program, or let me open whatever I have used. Right, let me open one simple. Any program you can take, the basic programs, addition. Right? So what is this? System.out.println. What is this? I am passing a string data from this and it is printing a string. What is this I am passing here? A character data which is printing a character. What I am passing here? An integer. And at the end, at the back side, it is invoking a integer. Println which takes integer. It is invoking a println which takes a character. It is invoking a println which takes a string. This is how it works. Getting me what I am trying to say? But from the user point of view, you are thinking there is a println method, I can pass any data I want to pass it. It is going to print it for me. Here I passed a string, how it is working. Here I passed the integer, how it is working. Here I passed a character. Here again I am passing a string, how it is working. The same method. No, there is no single method which is doing this task for you. There are different println methods which are doing this task for you. So the same thing I can do here. So before writing such kind of methods programmatically, so this concept is very need to be applied in some special cases. What is the special case? When you have a same action, but this action can be performed in multiple different ways, then you go for this kind of mechanism. So what syntactical rules I have here? Can you say if I want to achieve this programmatically, so what syntactical rules I need to follow here? For what? Method overloading. This is called as overloading. Now what syntactical rules I need to follow here? Right? Or before, just think about it. Before that, let me give one more quick simple example. Right? I am designing a class called as, right? Okay. I am designing a class called as, again, a class called as generator bill. This is my class. I want to have functionalities here by using which I am going to generate the bill. This is my class. Right? Now I am taking a method generator, or my class is bill class. So this bill class generates me the bill. Now how many ways I can generate the bill? Generate bill, in general I am talking about, by taking the cache will be the input, and the instructions processing will be different here. Then still right, absolutely generate the bill by accepting what? A check. Somebody says a check. Absolutely correct. Right? Somebody says a check. Absolutely correct. Still, this is one more way of generating a bill. Still, do you have any other alternates? generate bill by card payment, credit card or debit card, through card, right? So like this. And in the future I want to add, you can add it. You can extend this class very simply in the future. Generate bills, right? By online, like this, the future versions. You can easily update this class. That is what you have here, right? So this is what here. So what is this? When I designed my class, I have only two functionalities for generating bill. Let's suppose cash and check. But in the future I have a new functionality, extra functionality I want to add for generating the bill. But that means what? I want to accept the bills through what? Cards also. Now what should I do? So giving the extra functionality to the existing behavior is called as what? Overloading. I am doing overloading here. I am rewriting. I'm implementing one more form of the same functionality, and this form will be changes depends on what? The input. Now can you say technically what tools you have here for generating such kind of things? Now how to write a program technically? What tools I have here for writing such kind of methods? Syntactical rules. So we have lots of discussion on this. Can anybody say what tools we have here? What tools I need to follow as a programmer if I want to write such kind of functionalities? Right? So this is called as method overloading. Overloading the methods. Now what tools I have here? Come on, speak up fast. I think at least one or two rules. One rule you can give. Everybody can give at least one basic rule. What is that? Same name. Method name should be same. Why method name should be same? Because I am having the same functionality. I'm having the same functionality but different implementations. Method name should be same. Same action having different functionalities. Should be, not should be, must be same. Method name must be same. So generate bill, that is the same action I want to perform. But I can perform this action in multiple different ways. Right? Still, this is one rule. This is one rule you have. Still, what more other rule you have? Name should be same. Method name should be same. Must be. Still, what about the different implementations? How I will have different implementations? Based on what I will have different implementations? Parameters, right? The data which I pass, input, the data which I pass must be different. Parameters must be different, right? So parameters must be different. That is where you will come across the differentiation. What is the meaning of this? Listening, I have taken listening to a home, listening to a movie is different. Movie is the environment, input. Listening to a class is the input. Listening to a friend, different. Generating a bill, cash will be different logic we will have, check will be different logic we will have, card will be different logic we have. Logics will be different. There is no same logic. Different logics for the same functionality based on what? Different inputs. So these inputs should technically be passed through what? Parameters. How many ways I can differentiate the parameters? How many ways I can differentiate the parameters here? Multiple? What does it mean? Can you say one differentiation of parameters in one way? Right? In check means what? It's a type, data type. Right? In generally I'm talking about. Int string like this, right? So first number of parameters. Number. One method can have one parameter, one method can have what? Two parameters. Second is what? Type of the data. One can take a string, one can take integer. Type of what? Data. Data type. The third is what? Order of the parameters also I can do. I will give the examples. Order. These are three different ways. So the method must have a same name and it must differ in three different things. What is the meaning of number of parameters? So like this example, method name should be always same. Method one takes one integer and it will have its own processing. Method one takes the same method name which takes two integers or any number. This is what, so this is our two different methods actually. They are two different methods. Only the method name is same. If I want to invoke this method, I need to pass one integer. If I want to invoke this method, I need to pass two integers, and I will have different logics. Name should be same. The second way is what? Type of data. Method which takes a integer as input, and the method which takes a string as input. This is what we have. This is one more way. Data is different, right? Data is different now, right? The third way of differentiating them is method. Let's suppose which takes a one int comma one string, and the second method is also takes same method which takes same data, but the order will be different. First one is string, the second one is what? Integer. So only these are the three different ways you can differentiate them. These are three different ways. So name should be same. See here, the same name indicates what? Same action I am performing, but different ways I can perform it, and these different ways can be achieved through differentiation of parameters. You can differentiate them through what? Number, type, or order. That is what you have here. So if you see this println method, there are different based on the types. This is different type of data, this is different type, this is different type, this is different type. But they can be differentiated based on not only type, they can be differentiated based on number, as well as they can be differentiated through the order of the data. So must have the same method name and must be differ in any one of these three. If the method name is same as well as these three also same, means what? Arguments list, type of the data, and the order is also same, then it is not allowed. It is treated as a duplicate method. It is treated as a duplicate method, right? To understand this, let us write one basic Java program. Public class method overloading example. So I'm taking method here. What is this? Public let's suppose general method again. Void add the same action I want to perform, but for different inputs. Add for integer I comma integer j, two integer values, adding the two integer values, and I can do this operation for what? Multiple. Only for writing I am taking. This is not exact example. My operation is what? Adding, but I can do the adding based on different parameters. I can add 3 integers ijk. I can add 4 integers k comma l. I can add what? 5 integers. Or so the same operation I want to perform but different data. Or you can take here, I want to add an int comma int, but I can also add what? Int comma float. I want to add a float comma float. Just example, just try to understand this. Float f comma float f, right? I can add a float with a double value, float f comma double d. See, I have the same operation I want to perform, but on two different data, f plus d. This is the different logic I have. For here, I will have different thing, f plus, oh, I cannot take f plus f, f1 plus f2. We cannot take two f's here. Right here I plus f float, and here I can do what? I plus j. This is what my code. So I have a add method in my class. I have a add method which performs a addition operation, which performs what? Addition operation for any type of integers. Two integers you can pass, or two floats you can pass, or one integer, one float you can pass. It is going to perform addition operation for me in all different scenarios. So whoever uses this class, you can easily operate on these functionalities, right? So system dot out dot println of is only example purpose I am taking. This is not the exact scenario you will get always, right? I am printing this. I am adding them and I am printing this. I plus F. I am adding them and I am printing them. Right? So this is what you have here. Now let me save this program. Data Java. Right? So I would like to execute this program. Right? So this is what? Overloading. Same method with the different arguments, with the different logics, right? And add method is called as overloaded. In the future, if you want to have one more version of add, you can easily add it. You can very simply add it, that add version in the future, right? Now let us call these methods. I'm writing a class, public class, overloading main, public static, void main, string args. Right? Now I would like to call the method of a class. What should I do if we want to call a method of a class? You need to create the object for that class. My class name is method overloading example some mle is equals to new method overloading example. Right? Then mle dot what methods I can call? Add method, int comma int 1 comma 2, which will be called here, which will be called if I compile this program. For that, let me save it. Dot Java. Now it exactly calls the method which takes two integer values. Now this will be called for you, right? So this will be called. Now just let me write some to int and plus I plus j. Right? So like this we want to add. Okay, fine. Let me run this. What is it? Overloading main. It's compiled file. Overloading main. See, to int, the method which has two integers is executed, not all. Right? Now int and float. Just for easy to understand, I am writing these things. Now what is this? Float and float. And the last one is float and double. right? I'm going to call these methods from my main class mle dot add of 10.0f float comma. Is there any method which takes a float and integer? No, right? One integer, one float. 12 comma. Float and float 12.0f and double. Float and double, right? Float data should be post fixed with f 12 and 20. Now let's see here what is going to happen. So this one calls method with two integers, this one calls a method with integer comma float, this one calls a add method with the two floats, this one calls a add method with a float and double. Different forms I have here. Save this and let me compile and execute my main class. Fine. See here, two integers, int and float, float and float, float and double. Okay. So user can be easily, the user point of view, it gives you more easy to access because the same method name. If I take add two integers, add int float, different names I can take, but it is not because my operation is same, but this operation can be performed in multiple different ways, right? So the syntactical rules are same, must be followed here. Name should be same with the different arguments, and as I have given three different ways you can differentiate. Return type, yes, return type will not play any role in overloading. Return type is least bothered. Return type can be same, return type can be different, right? Return type is least bothered, right? Let me write one method here. So just I'm showing you one thing here. Now the same method I have written, right? Let's suppose I want to do multiplication. This will not be correct. Logic is different. Now see what it is saying. A duplicate method already defined because name is same, parameters are same. So when you call this, how to call these two methods? How to call these two methods? This method should be called object.add by passing integers, two integers. Here also it should be called by passing two integers. But which one should be called by the runtime? How your Java knows? Either it should call this one or this one. It does not know. If I have a return type as integer, right? If I have a return type as integer, one is void, one is integer. Still it is not correct. Why? Because to call a method, method name and parameters only used, not the return type. So if you have a different return types, not called as overloading. These are not overloaded things. It is treated as same methods because the same name with the same arguments. So it is treated as what? Though you have a different logic and different return types, no meaning of overloading. So they should be different in the arguments. Return type is least bothered, right? It's a very important interview point of question. So this is what you have, overloading, right? This is what you have, overloading. And as a programmer, I already did this previously when we have discussed the constructors. There also I did the same thing. The constructors with multiple different I have taken the constructors with multiple different arguments. That is called as constructor overloading. Right? Constructor without arguments, constructor with one integer, constructor with two integers. When I have created my account class, you have seen different constructors have it written with different parameters. That is called as constructor overloading. So as a programmer, you can do method overloading as well as you can do what? Constructor overloading, but you cannot do operator overloading. One operator is already implicitly overloaded and that is plus operator. Getting me? So this is the advantage you have. This is what polymorphic. The same method providing extra functionality to the existing functionality is called as polymorphic. This is method overloading. There is one more way is also there, that is called as overriding, that we understand tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Did you understand what I explained here? Yes? Yes. Everybody says yes. I'm getting the reply from only one. What happened, guys? Remaining there or not there? Float and float, this one. This is the way. You need to pass float data. Float and float. Yeah, 12.0 F and 10,0 F. What is there? Passing data is same, right? Okay. No, 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 no. Right? So he's asking very interesting question again. Is a very important concept also. Now I'm going to change my method signatures here. For I would like to put in simple way. I'm going to change this. Okay, 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 okay. Okay, let me write a new class for this. Example 1. Right? A method which takes an integer value. And same here. I am overloading the things, but I would like to take only one argument here. Now the second one takes what? One float value. The third one, method name should be same. Takes a let me take one. Okay, fine. Character value. Or okay, okay, yeah, character. C. And I would like to take a method, same method name, which takes a double value. Are they overloaded, guys? Are they overloaded? Yes. In what terms they are overloaded? What rule is applied here? How they are overloaded? Based on name is same, fine. Still data type. They have different data types. They are differentiated in terms of what? Data types. Yes, absolutely. And yep. Now these are the 4 methods I have. Example 1. I'm not going to compile and execute this. Just I would like to show you something here. And very important, bit confusing. Just a bit confusing here. Just concentrate here. Now how can I invoke this method? How can I invoke this method? Let me take only 2 methods here. Time being, I'm commenting these 2 methods. Now there are 2 methods overloaded. Now if I invoke a method, let's suppose I have created an object. Imagine that I have created an object dot method. Object dot method. Now if I pass 10, what happens here? Which method will be executed? There are 2 with the same name. Which one will be executed? First method, because the data is of type integer. The data and its type is integer. First it searches for exact match. If this method is not there, then let's suppose if this method is not there, then what happens there? Only one method is present, and that is float. Error? Error? Right. Absolutely, it is not an error. That is where you need to focus. So we have conversions, implicit conversions, right? So an integer data can be implicitly converted to what? A float also. Not? We have seen implicit conversions. A float can accept integers also. So what happens is in Java, what is the mechanism it follows is first it searches for the exact match. If the exact match is not there, it tries to promote the value to what? Next levels. So then it is checks for there is a promotion. If there is a method, is there any method which takes a long value? No. Is there any method present in your class which takes float value? Yes. Now it is executed. It is automatically promoted to all levels. If nothing is there to accept it, then it gives you what? Error. So this absolutely calls this method implicitly converted to a float. Is it not possible? It will convert it to a float. Right? Don't think if exactly match is not there, it will not give you error. It tries to promote it to next levels, next types. Now in this case, there is no integer, exact match is not there, but it promotes it to what? Float value. Absolutely it works. You need to take care here. Exact match is there, first preference will be for exactly the same type. If it is not there, it promotes to the next level. 10 comma 10.0, what happens? In what case? There is no method which takes 2 arguments. Is there any method which takes 2 arguments here? How can you pass? Not possible to pass 10 comma 10.0. There are methods which have only 1 argument. How can you pass 2 arguments? Right? So let's suppose if I have a float and double, first preference will be given to lower type. Let's suppose in my class, now I have float and double, and this is the way I am passing. Yes, string will be called, but there is no string data type. How can it takes? Object.method 10, and I don't have exact match, but I have float and I have double. Now which method will be executed? Because the 10 can be converted to float as well as it can be converted to double. First preference will be given to its immediate. Float will be immediate, right? If it is not there, then it goes for what? Double. Right? That is the reason why when I have discussed these data types, I have given you one chart. Byte, short, int, long, float, double, like this. The chart is important. Just that chart. Right? So that is also one important point. Right? So this is what one polymorphic concept. Right? Tomorrow we'll start with some other new concept called as inheritance. Right? So if you have any